Hey, I'm here with Tony Taza from Hoyt. Tony, could you tell us a little bit about stabilizer setup, what makes the bow hold, and the best route for everybody to go?
Sure. I'll tell you what, the thing about stabilizer systems is you look at 100 of the top pros on the circuit, and everybody's set up a little different. I tend to want to set up with a bow that's balanced, pretty well even. You'll look at Rio Wild's bow, and he's got a ton of front weight.
Right.
You'll look at some of the other guys with a ton of back weight. Now, I do mine, and you can't be afraid to experiment with some different things. I choose the fused carbon blade system. I love it in crosswind situations. I don't have nearly the left and right misses when I'm shooting in a crosswind. One of the tournaments I won last year was 20 to 30 mile-an-hour crosswinds down in Georgia, and I definitely felt like I had a big advantage over the guys. And what I'll do is I pretty much want to set up with a small amount of weight on the tip, and this is basically my 3D bow. I do 1 ounce on the front and the rubber dampener, and then I will adjust the back weight accordingly. I don't typically like a real front heavy bow like some of the guys. I mean, if you look at the way that bow balances,
It just sits there.
it pretty much wants to aim itself.
Right.
And I feel like anything on the bow balancing that will allow you to not fight the bow, not fight the pin, is helping you execute a good, clean shot. So I'll start out with with an amount of weight on the front that's not overbearing, and then I'll add in the back here, as I'm shooting groups at 50 yards, 60 yards.
Right.
And watch my pin. Even more so than I'm watching my groups, I'm watching my pin. And if I'm fighting it up and down, or if it has a low tendency that it wants to draw me down,
Right.
I'll add a little here.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll change a little out front, but not normally.
So if you're bobbing up and down, like locking under the target, you add a little bit to the
I'll
back.
add a little bit here, yeah. And I mean, there are some other things you do. Now, I do like to find a sweet spot with my loop on the string
Right.
before I get too serious about this.
Okay.
And I'll throw a basic stabilizer setup. Find my sweet spot here, because I think you're customizing the bow to the way you're holding it, the way you're seating your hand in the grip.
And that's
With
in
your-
turn kind
with
of
your knot
changing
position.
the tiller.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're changing the tiller without actually changing the limb
Right.
pressures. So, and once I get that, the up and down straightened out, then what I'll do is I'll stand and I'll, again, at longer distances, and I'll shoot and just concentrate on my bubble.
Okay.
My level and the target.
Right.
And that's how I determine what angle this is towards or away from the bow.
Okay.
Because I figure if I constantly want to lean to the right, I'll add a little weight to this side, or I'll flex this out.
Okay.
Because the new fuse bracket, you have total adjustment laterally. So that's pretty much my setup. And you can't be afraid to tinker around.
Right.
I mean, the guys that are out here shooting, they've got, hours and hours and hours in their setups. And for you to really expect to pack them in there, you got to have it right for you, not for the next guy.
Absolutely.
So that's basically what I do in my stabilizer setup. And
Okay. Now, what tip can you give not only a new archer, but someone that's been around a long time that will benefit them in their game?
well, probably something like we just talked about. Don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
Don't get sucked into what works for this guy has to work for me.
Right.
Pick up a tip from everybody you talk to, and if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, throw it out and look for another tip.
Well, good deal, sir. I
Okay.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yep.